Well, how are you doing? I hope that you're okay. Well, today we're going to learn some rules of English about the noun. The noun has some inflection degrees in singular and plural. And well, I know it's a little bit difficult to learn by heart all of those rules, okay? So I have created a methodology having into account mnemonics, okay? So I am going to propose you to learn for each rule the name of an animal, okay? How does it work? Let's start. Well, let's talk about rule number one. It says add s to the singular noun. It's extremely easy, so let me show you here how it works. For dog, you're going to have dogs. For house, you're going to have houses. Student, students. Book, books. It's very easy to understand. So it is going to be the general rule. Now for words. When you want to remember this rule, all that you have to do is to think about this animal. Rule number one is represented by a dog, okay? Let's continue. Let's continue. Okay. Here we have another rule. Rule number two. So we have this. It says if the singular noun ends in x, s, double s, z, sh, and ch, added or at es to formats plural. All right. So when you have fox, foxes, ats, atses, brush, brushes, class, classes, lens, lenses, churches, dishes, box, boxes. All right. Um, we have to remember these classes are designed for Spanish speakers. So it is a good idea sometimes to translate some of these words, all right? So for fox, zorro, ats, asadón, is a tool. Brush, okay, cepillo. Class, clase. Lens, lente. Church, iglesia. Dish, plato, box, caja. In the same order of ideas, I have to do something here, to explain the way this works. So I'm going to share my board, okay, in here, and I'm going to write, as I told you, a couple of sentences in Spanish, okay? So while I'm writing, try to translate. What about if I say this? Mi hermanita tiene varios cepillos, all right? Ella cepilla, ella siempre cepilla sus dientes. All right, that's number one. And I am thinking about other, and it is, let me see. For example, ese hombre alto boxea sobre sobre muchas cajas. Okay, let's try to translate this into English, all right? So here, mi hermanita, think about it. How would you say that? Mi hermanita tiene varios cepillos, ella siempre cepilla sus dientes. So I would say, my little sister has several brushes, okay? She always brushes her teeth. All right. And then we are going to continue here. Ese hombre alto boxea sobre muchas cajas. So I would say that, okay, tall man boxes on many boxes. Well, as you could see, here we have repeated some words. For example, here you have brushes, all right, which is a noun, and brushes, which is a verb. Okay, let me write here. You have brushes. You have a noun, yeah, and here brushes. You have a verb. Verb. And that told man boxes on. I made a mistake here. On many boxes. So it's exactly the same. What we have to do is to identify first the words, but in this case they were crossed. Boxes in here. I'm talking about the verb, and boxes here. I'm talking about a noun. So have that into account. A word in English can work in different ways. Can be the same word, but can have many different grammatical qualities. All right, that's what I'm talking about. So let's go back to our presentation. Okay, and yes, so remember, animal number one was the dog. Okay, and remember what rule we were talking about. And animal number two is here, the fox. All right. Okay. Let's see other rule. Rule number three. It says if the singular noun ends. Okay. If the singular noun ends in y, all right, and that y is preceded by a consonant, okay, it says that we have to change y instead I, and then we have to add es. All right. So fly, flies. I'm talking about mosca. Sky, skies. I'm talking about cielo. Baby, babies, bebé. Lady, ladies, dama. Spy, spies, espía. City, cities, ciudad. All right. That's what I'm talking about. And we have the name of this beautiful insect, butterfly, a monarch butterfly, butterfly. Okay, think about this. Why it's called butterfly? I don't know if you have ever touched a butterfly, but it feels very soft, extremely soft, like butter. So in that case, we said that it's a fly made like butter. Okay, butterfly, butterfly. So now we have three animals. Number one was the duck. Number two was the fox, and number three we have the butterfly. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Very good. Very good. I just remember about something American people do, and let me show you. I'm going to go back to my board, and is this? I'm going to open another one. Okay. It says, guess what? Okay. Spanish speakers would say, adivina qué. So they say, what? Okay. So it's something that is undetermined. So I say, it has tires and flies. At first sight, everybody will think, well, it has tires and flies. What can be that? You would say, tiene llantas y vuela is the first thing you're going think. But actually, when you see what it is a garbage truck. So you say, how can it be a garbage truck? Yes, it has tires, of course, and flies. But we were thinking about flying, the verb, but actually it's flies, moscas. Tiene llantas y moscas. Okay. So what I want to show you here is that even native speakers play with the meaning of these words when they have a different grammatical quality. All right. Let's go back to our presentation. All right. And let's go for other slide. Next animal, the donkey. It's a beautiful animal, no? Actually, they say is kind of stupid, but I think it is very smart. It says, if the singular noun ends in Y preceded by a vowel, added S. So let's look at it, okay? So you have in here this. It ends in Y preceded by a vowel. So all that you have to do is to add S. So you have boy, boys. Uh, I want to remind you that this word must be well pronounced because you can confuse it with voice. Okay, as when you say that guy has a very beautiful voice. Okay, or those boys were playing. Okay, it's different. Toy, toys, juguete. Key, keys, llave, clave, tecla. Day, days, día. Donkey, donkeys. Burro, burros. This rule is quite easy. I think it's very understandable. Okay, let's continue. Next slide. Let me erase this. Okay. For words ended in F or FE, what you have to do is to change that F or FE instead V. Look at this. Okay? And then it is said that you have to add ES. Let's do it. Very easy. And here, the animal which represents this rule is the wolf. So let's pronounce and have the meaning into Spanish. So you have calf, calves. Actually, calf is an animal, you know, in Spanish, ternera, but it is also a part of your body. I'm talking about pantorrilla. Half, halves, mitad, mitades. Shelf, shelves, repisa, repisas. Knife, knives, cuchillo, navaja, navajas. Life, lives, wolf, wolves, vida y lobos. In here, something comes into my mind about pronunciation. So let's go back to our board. And I want to show you something very interesting. As always, I like to translate, you know. It's not only study a language, but learning about other ones. And if you are increasing the vocabulary in your own language, it is good for me. So I'm going to write down the phrase in Spanish. It says, for example, mi hija vive con su esposo en Europa. I don't want that happens to me, you know. I want my daughter to live near me all the time. And then we can say, sus vidas son asombrosas, digamos. Asombrosas. All right. Now we are going to translate into English, all right? So think about it. I'm going to give you a time. All right. Right. My daughter, I like the pronunciation for this word, you know. My daughter lives, pay attention, lives with her husband in Europe. Be careful with pronunciation. Europe. Okay. My daughter lives with her husband in Europe. Let's put it this way. And then I say, their lives, okay? Their lives are, what did I say? Asombrosas. In Spanish, amazing. My daughter lives with her husband in Europe. Their lives are amazing. Did you realize the way I pronounce this? Well, if you didn't realize, the pronunciation for this word was lives. Listen to me. And the pronunciation for this word was lives. So why did you pronounce it in a different way, teacher? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because in here, you're talking about the plural, not the plural, the third person of singular for verb to live. So you have to live, lives. You have to keep the pronunciation. But in here, you are talking now, yeah, you're talking about the plural of the noun life, life. So my daughter lives with her husband in Europe. Their lives are amazing. You know, I'm sorry. Sometimes I am that kind of teacher. You know, I consider that there are some special comments that I have to make at the moment. Let's go back to our presentation. All right. We were talking about the rules for having plurals in English. Now, the rule says that you have to think about the wolf, okay? The wolf, all right? Let's continue with other slide. Okay, rule number 4B. It says, for words ended in, let me show you, in double F, double O F, I E F, A R F. Follow the general rule. Okay. So all that you have to do is to add S. It's like an exception, right? English language actually is a language with very few rules, with few rules, but with many exceptions. Okay. And I want to recommend you to study those exceptions, because if you are going to take an international exam, you're going to find at least a couple of those exceptions, all right? Well, so we have staffs, all right, which means staff like personnel in a company. Sometimes you can talk about baston, or you can talk about a specialized group of something, staff of lawyers, un staff de abogados. Cliffs, how can I translate that into Spanish? Un acantilado, un precipicio que da al mar. Roofs, techos. Beliefs, creencias. And this animal, I almost couldn't find this animal which followed the rule. Mastiff, this wonderful animal. Mastiffs, okay? Mastiffs. Okay, that's it. So let's have a review of the animals, give me a hand. The first one was, yes, the dog. The second one was the fox. The third one was the butterfly. Next one was the donkey. Then we had the wolf, and now we have this beautiful animal, the mastiff. All right, that's everything that you have to do, and then you have to relate each animal to its rule. All right. Okay, I'm going to erase this, and we are going to continue with this explanation about the plural rules in English. It says, for words ended in O, sometimes S, sometimes ES is added. Singular mostly follow the pattern of a final O preceded by a consonant or a vowel. Well, I am not very agree about it, and I'm going to tell you why. It says that if a word ends in O, sometimes you are going to add S, and sometimes you are going to add ES. But I have analyzed that, and it doesn't follow the rule strictly. That if it is preceded by a consonant or a vowel, just let me show you. In here, this S is this O is preceded by a consonant, but in here is preceded by a vowel. So my advice is to learn them by heart, okay? By heart. So now let's talk about these animals. Studios. Animals know words. Studios, and this wonderful and beautiful animal, armadillo. In Spanish, we say armadillo. In some parts of my country, Colombia, we call it gurre, all right? Okay, it looks for me like a Pokemon. Armadillos. Okay, this is the animal that you have to keep in mind. Solos, as when a singer is singing solo. Zoo, zoológicos. I think at the very beginning, zoos were beautiful and interesting, but nowadays we have to think different, people. We don't have to afford these places anymore. We don't have to support going to these places. It's not good. Okay, photos is very transparent to Spanish. It's a coñado, fotografía. Auto, the same. Radios. Pianos. I'm thinking about this. Most of words which end in vowel in English, they end in E. And most of times this E is mute. It doesn't have a sound, like one, take, make. But then the other vowel in which English words end is O. And most of times this O is very transparent into Spanish. Think about it, like this list. Soprano, sopranos is the same in Spanish. It's a very acute voice in opera. Tomato, tomatoes, the same. Hero, heroes. Mosquito, mosquitoes. Well, actually, when we say mosquito in Spanish, it's a little fly, but the translation is zancudo. All right. So be careful, don't confuse. Potato, potatoes, and echo, echo. All right. That's okay. So think about this beautiful animal, beautiful and strange, armadillo. Okay. Let's continue. Oh, I forgot to erase this. Let's continue now. Okay. Then we have this animal. It was difficult to find for me. Remember, I am not a native speaker. I speak other languages. My native language is Spanish. I also speak Italian and Portuguese and some French. But as I am not a English native speaker, sometimes it's difficult to find some words such as this one. So you have this. Other words ended in O admit both rules. Admit both rules. Okay, so we have zeros with S or zeros with ES. Volcano, volcanoes, tornado, tornadoes, dingo, dingoes. This dingo is an Australian wild duck. Okay. Let me tell you, in Colombia, we find very similar words to these ones, and they are not dingoes, They are, I don't know, local dogs. They are a mix, they are not pure breed and are very similar. So don't forget this rule, okay? Let's continue. Okay, I did something different. Let me show you here. Irregular plurals. In this case, you have to learn them by heart, my friends, by heart, because they don't obey to any specific rule. Some of them can come from other languages. Some of them are from Old English. So it's like a mix of words, okay? So you have bacterium, bacteria, which in Spanish is bacteria. Crisis, crisis, crisis. Data, datium. I remember the name of this Android for word stars, Cactus, cacti. Okay, cactus. Data is información o dato. Phenomena, phenomenon. Okay, phenomenon. Child, children. Niño, niños. Tooth, teeth. Tooth, teeth. In Spanish, I emphasize on the pronunciation for this word, and sometimes I exaggerate it because my students, they pronounce teeth. Teeth, you know what it is, okay? It's not dientes, it's other part of your body. Okay, mouse, mice. Mouse, mice. You have man, man. Person, people. Okay, personas, gente. Foot, feet. Louse, lice. The name for this animal in Spanish is piojo. All right, piojo. Ox, oxen. Actually, in this word, I can notice that it comes from Old English. Buey, bueyes. Woman, women. Woman, women. Mujer, mujeres. Goose, geese. Ganso, gansos. Fantastic. I really like this. Geese. Goose is the animal that you have to keep into your mind in here, okay? At the end of this presentation, we are going to show you how it works, okay? So let's continue with next slide. I think is the last one. Actually, it has 7, but it's rule number 10. Okay, singular is equal to plural. Actually, I don't know if you can think of some words in Spanish that were the same way, but I'm thinking about tesis, una tesis, dos tesis, or crisis, una crisis, dos crisis, all right? So we have this animal, deer, deer. Okay, when I think about this word, ciervo, and now it comes into my mind the brand of this heavy machinery that you can find on the roads in different places of the world. Okay, it's an American, very famous brand. which was founded by a very interesting man. Okay, sheep, sheep, oveja, ovejas, news, new, noticias, fish. Okay, I have to tell you something about it. I have seen that when English grammar talks about fish, you're talking about the dead animal. I mean, the meat. Because if you are talking about the alive animal, you can have the plural as fishes, all right? It's only when you're talking about the meat. Species, especies. Furniture, mueble, o amoblado. Education, educación. I like this pronunciation, education. I can remember of Pink Floyd song, okay, another brick on the wall. They have clearly this pronunciation, which sounds extremely beautiful for me. Education. We don't need your education. Okay. And what are we going to do with all this stuff? Well, what I recommend you, my friends, and this is what I pretended to do, is that you are going to associate each rule to an animal. And let me show you how it works, okay? All right. So you have dog. What is the rule? That you have to add es. Let's think about other words. For example, if you say car, cars. Okay. Rule number 2, it says that if this word ends in X, S, double S, Z, you have to add EZ, like fox, foxes, but I'm thinking about, well, I'm not thinking about beso, kiss. So you have kisses and the plural, okay? Fantastic. Well, butterfly, the rule says that if this singular word ends in Y preceded by a consonant, what you have to do is to change Y, instead I, and then add ES. Butterfly, butterflies. But let me think about other word. What about espía? Espía. Spy, spies. Okay, wonderful. Rule number 3, B, donkey. It is an exception to this rule. If the word ends in Y preceded by a vowel, but what you have to do is to add S. It follows actually the general rule. So you have donkey. Let me do the easy way, this example. Donkey, monkey. They are only different in the first letter. Monkey, monkeys. You're right. It's not the same animal, but I am giving just an example, all right? For a wolf, wolves, it says that if the word ends in F or FE, what you have to do is to change F or FE instead V and add ES. You're right. Let me think about the word. What about shelf? Okay. Repisa, estante, anaquel, shelf, shelves. You're right. Very good. This beautiful animal, mastiff. There are some words which are the exception. Words ended in O, double F, or double O F, I E F, A R F. Okay. Let me think about a word. What about sheriff? Okay. Sheriff, sheriffs. Okay. This is the exception. Then we go with this animal. If the word ends in O, sometimes you have to add S, sometimes you have to add ES. So we have armadillo, armadillos. Let me think about other word. Let's think about tomato, tomato, tomatoes. No problem. Tomato, tomatoes. I like tomatoes. In Colombia, tomatoes are enormous, especially in the region where I live. Okay, number 5B, dingo. This Australian dog is the exception. So it says that you can add S or ES. Example, volcano. You can say volcanoes only with S, or you can say volcanoes. The pronunciation is actually the same, you know. Let me place this in here. Rule number 6, irregular plural at all, okay? In this case, I'm talking about this animal, goose, geese, and I am thinking about this child, okay? The plural is children. Some of my students, sometimes they say children's, and I have to correct what they say all the time, children, all right? And finally, we have this. The plural is the same singular, and we have this fabulous animal, deer. And let me find other similar word, sheep. Sheep, singular, sheep, plural. Okay. So I hope that this creation of my mind is going to help you learn by heart the rules without reading the rules. Okay. Ah, by the way, at the end of this presentation, I have other rules and other exceptions. Well, this is all about this lesson. I hope that for real is going to give you a good hand learning these rules. Okay. Bye bye. Write to me. See you.